Welcome to the Paranormal Hour with Monica the Spirit Queen. This is a special show today that I'm having. As most of you guys know on social media, I have been posting a very special celebrity guest that will be on my show today. And those who don't know, I am going to let you know who it is. But first, let me see if you guys can actually guess. She's a famous psychic medium, also known as a good witch, a white witch. She's an actor, a producer, and she has also been on Ghost Adventures. Yes, I said it, Ghost Adventures. One of the most popular, famous paranormal shows out there on TV that everybody loves and watches every Saturday night. Patti Negri. She is going to be on my show today. I have received some emails and questions, so everybody will get a chance to get their questions answered. I do have the answers for you, as well as the questions that you guys asked are directly for Patti. Those questions will also be answered as well. So stick around, don't go anywhere. When we come back, we will be talking to Patti. See you in just a moment. And we're back to the Paranormal Hour with Monica the Spirit Queen. I have Patti Negri. Hi, Patti.
Hey, Monica, how are you? Hi, everybody. Thanks for having me on.
Thank you for joining us. We're so excited. I even had my kids over here today because they wanted to talk to you and say hi.
Hey, hi, guys. Thanks for coming.
So, Patti, from what everybody, from the TV shows and everything and your work, I mean, I had to get you on my show because I am a big fan of your work. You know, me being a psychic medium, I totally relate to what you do, but you do a little bit more than what I do, and I'm so excited to hear about it. But first, I want you to tell everybody what types of shows that you've been on, you know, all the exciting things that you have done.
Okay, well, I've been here a lot. I do more than you probably because I'm a lot older than you. Give yourself time, it'll be fine. And I'm in Hollywood, so that's kind of a natural. I came from an acting background as well. I mean, I've always been a psychic medium. I knew when I was 2 or 3, just like you, that a little kid, and you kind of, you know, you see things not everybody sees, and you know things not everybody knows.
Right.
But I think maybe about 10, 15 years, I kept my world very separate because I also had a production company, very corporate. I would do shows for like corporate companies, and I just thought I had to keep it separate. They couldn't know that I was this weird person who talked to dead people
right.
around bonfires.
I feel you.
Yeah. But about 10, 15 years ago, I don't even know what, you know, the corporate market in the entertainment market started slipping, and like the reality TV and stuff started moving up. And I remember the first time they had asked me to do a seance on a TV show or something. I think it was like Mobile Home Disaster and a haunted mobile home, and I came to do a seance to talk to the spirit that was there.
Right.
And I remember my first corporate client that, like, the next day they called me, I saw you on TV last night, and I'm like, oh gosh, they're never going to talk to me again. And she's like, I didn't know you were into the paranormal. That's great. And I'm like, oh, I can come out of the closet, so to speak. Come out of the room closet, come out of the psychic closet. So since then, my gosh, I've done, I think, 5 or 6 episodes of Ghost Adventures, which is my favorite. I've done Flipping Out. I've done a couple of episodes of Bad Girls Club. I've done a bunch of episodes of Pit Boss. That it's not on anymore. Shorty and his pit bulls.
Nice.
Wow, a couple of LA Story, Beverly Hills Pawn. I mean, just go through and list almost any reality show that needs a psychic or needs a medium or needs a witch or needs a seance. They call me. It's pretty cool.
That's so awesome. I think I'm going to, people have crowned me and labeled me as a busy bee. From, you know, a busy bee, like everything that I do. I think I'm going to take my crown and give it to you.
Thanks. We could share it. You can have it on even number days. I'll have it on odd number days.
Deal.
It's a deal. So yeah, I do a lot, and I've also been doing a lot. I mean, the whole new generation, that whole YouTube generation, what they call influencers, these like 18-year-old millionaires who have like 800,000 followers. I'm actually loving working with them. I just did a Swedish TV show last week. These girls, one of them's 18, one's a minute or two older, here from Sweden and shooting their first time in the USA, and we went to a really cool old 1920s movie star house here in Los Angeles. Like I said, I did a couple episodes of LA Story where they're all in high school. Worked with Chachi Gonzalez on hers Where's Chachi, or I think that's Where's Chachi. Leah Marie Johnson, all these really cool kids. But I mean, that's the age, I mean, you and I were doing it then, but that's the age that bring people's awareness to spiritual matters, paranormal matters, just a different way of thinking. So I feel like teacher or something. That's great.
That's awesome. That's awesome. And, you know, I feel one of the reasons why I love doing what I do is to educate people, to let them know that the spiritual realm does exist and that there's nothing to be afraid of, because there's people like you and I that are available to either mentor them or walk them through it or help them out. You know what I mean?
Exactly. Yes.
So
yeah, and we don't. Knowledge is power. You don't have to be afraid. This is our realm. They really do have to. And he was so inspired. But yeah, I've had some wild things. But going back to the ghost adventures, so yes, I do allow spirit like that to take over my body. I'm sitting there with protection, with every kind of. The interesting thing is on ghost adventures, I can't burn some of my herbs and oils that I would do at any other one, because of Zach's asthma, you just can't burn stuff like that. It doesn't matter, because I use the oils and do everything else, but I can't burn like I do.
Right.
But it doesn't matter, because they're so connected. They are so 100% committed, and they truly are. That it always opens up. It always opens, because they're believers. And I mean, I know for the years before I was on that show, I remember watching it going, I don't know, this is kind of weird, these big macho guys, and then a pin drops, and then, but it's because of that beautiful commitment they have.
It's the belief, and you know that things, you know, everything that we are doing, the spiritual realm is real. And when people are like, oh my God, you know, laughing like, oh, this person just jumped and started screaming, yeah, a normal person would jump, but somebody like us knowing and feeling and sensing and touching and smelling, and you know what I mean, we know 100% that it's real. So it probably scares us more in a different way than it will other people.
But we know what it is. Again, we get
Exactly.
startled, of course, just like anybody. You know, your kid walking up and startling you from behind, you get startled.
Of course.
You certainly get scared. They do, I do, we all do. But at least you know it's in control. It's like a roller coaster. You know, you're not really.
you
fall off the
just
roller coaster. Most of the time.
You just have to really know what you're doing. And again, to folks out there who's listening right now, you know, we are here to help you guys. Don't go burning people. Don't go practicing magic or anything like that. Study. It took me so many years for me to get down packed. And until today, like when I talked to you earlier today, I was like, okay, Patty, this is what's going on. And I'm still, I still had a question for you. You know, we always have questions. We're always learning. We're always studying. And
always. I'm questioning everything. I'm reading. I am always in class. I'm studying anything I can. Weekly, I mean, at least one class. And whether it's a paranormal class, whether it's a cosmology belief system, it's like, okay, I'm going to study Peruvian shamanism for 6 months because I don't know enough about that. And I take all the common denominators of all of them down to that basic of energy, and it helps you everywhere. Because again, study. There's many truths and many ways to do things, but you have to know your truth. You have to know what you believe in, what works for you, because that's what's going to work.
Absolutely. We're going to go on a quick break, but when we come back, more questions for Patty.
Okay.
This is exciting. I'm having fun.
Me too.
So yeah, when we come back, you guys stay tuned. There's going to be more questions. I still have a couple that you guys have emailed me, and I might have a couple couple of questions myself. So stay tuned. We'll be right back in just a minute. And we're back with the Paranormal Hour with Monica, the Spirit Queen. And here I have Patty Negri, the famous, one and only famous psychic medium and good witch. I said good witch, not white witch, but they're the same, right?
The same thing. I just like the word good, because like Glinda, the good witch.
Yes.
Glinda Voss.
She's the good witch. What is the difference between being a witch, a good witch, a bad witch, a dark witch? I mean, people have been asking me, is it all the same, or there's different categories, different things that different kind of witches do?
Oh yeah, actually, and to say someone's a witch means can mean a lot of things. Like, because Wicca is a religion. Like, if people are Wiccan right now, it's a goddess-worshipping religion. You have 8 major Sabbats. A lot of Wiccans practice magic.
Right.
And some don't. Some are just with their belief system. There's many kinds of witches. There's traditional British witches. There's chaos magicians. There's ceremonial magicians and witches. So just like to say you're Christian could mean you're Catholic or Baptist or Pentecostal. It's kind of the same thing. But to say, the way I use witch and to say a witch, that means I believe in magic. I believe we can take fate into our own hands. I work with elements. I work with nature. That's why I said I'm very shamanic, very elemental, like Wiccans are this way too. When we put earth in the north, whatever you put in the north is the system you work. I put earth in the north, so I work with air and fire and water and earth, and I believe that we can change fate. Not always, because like there's going to be an earthquake, there's going to be an earthquake, but
right, absolutely.
That's what being a magical practitioner or witch is. And the difference in a good witch and a bad witch is, or white or dark, a good witch will never ever do anything that affects somebody else without their permission.
Right.
Because that's whether you call your Carmen or your 3x3 rule. Like, a love spell can be good. Somebody wants a love spell to bring the love of their life. That's good. If somebody wants a love spell on a certain person, I want Bob to fall in love with me. Mm-hmm. That's bad magic because we don't have Bob's permission. What seems like it's innocent and good is actually, that's dark magic, and
it will backfire.
It'll backfire. Because, yeah, Bob, I could probably make Bob fall in love with you, but it would be the worst relationship you'd ever have. They'd be like Stalker Bob, and they'd be obsessed with you, but hate you and don't know why, because it wasn't supposed to be Bob. You know,
and then that's when domestic violence comes in.
God, the spirits,
right.
Okay, bring me this beautiful life. This is what I want in it. You know, if it's supposed to be Bob, it'll work on Bob. But if it isn't supposed to be Bob, no, don't do it. So they never put name. And with any kind of spell working, you know,
right.
You don't do anything manipulative to change others without their permission. And you have to know, to be a magical practitioner when you get beyond the book, mm-hmm. You have to have a sense of ethics. You have to know right and wrong, good and bad. And like I was saying off air, we all have that. Like mm-hmm. If a spirit comes in, you're going to feel, does it feel good or does it feel bad? If someone doesn't have a sense of this is okay or this is not okay, good or bad, right or wrong, never ever practice magic in any kind, whether you call it witchcraft or wishcraft or magical whatever. If you honestly don't know what is right and what is wrong, don't do it. That's when you'll get yourself in trouble.
Absolutely. Great answer. And how do you know the difference between a regular spirit and a demon?
Well, regular spirits, the feeling that you get, honestly, demons are so overpowering, they're oppressive. You often will feel it in your gut or something like the air goes away. Sometimes even there's smells, there's this, there's that. It's dark. They can be tricksters. Like even for a second, start out okay, but you know something's wrong. You know something's wrong.
Right.
And a spirit isn't. Spirits, I mean, actually, like say if you're doing an investigation or you're doing a seance, there's lots of different kinds of spirits. There's ghosts, which are, dead humans, usually crossed over, sometimes not. Again, there's a little edge to the ones haven't crossed over, and they're very easy to help cross over.
Especially if you know what you're doing. And, folks out there, that's what we're here for, to help you guys out, to help you educate and make you understand how the spiritual realm works. And honestly, if you know exactly what you are doing, and don't be afraid to ask for help, then there's so many doors of opportunity, so many things that you can do and not even be afraid of doing it. You just get used to it.
Right, and you should know what you're doing. Learn a little bit about psychic protection if you're going to go out and do paranormal investigations, if you're going to do seances or know your belief system, number one, because that's your roadmap, whatever it is. If you have a Christian belief system, you have a pagan belief system, you have whatever it is,
right.
That's your roadmap to work, and it will work. You just kind of know your way in, your way out. So know some psychic protection, know about spirits, and again, talk to people like us who know it, who study it, who live it.
Absolutely. And also when it goes out to the paranormal investigators as well. There's a lot of paranormal investigators like Ghost Adventures that you've been on. The guys know how to, they've been doing it for so long. They know how to protect themselves and block themselves, and that's why they go to these most dangerous locations and do it. You know, they don't just wake up overnight and be like, okay, I'm just going to do it and whatever happens, happens.
Yeah, no, they do. They each of the guys, I'm not even going to talk about because I don't know if they do, they each have their own method of how they do protection, what they do after an investigation, what they do before. It's great because, again, they know what their truth is and they do it.
Absolutely. And it's very important. It's very important. And, you know, and there's other ones that are going out there and then coming back and saying, oh, I have an attachment, I got attacked. I mean, you have to, that's part of the work that we do. You know, things happen. But again, when it comes to protecting yourself and blocking yourself and then cleansing yourself afterwards, you can't just say I'm a paranormal investigator, throw yourself out there in the shark world, and then turn around and be like, okay, well now I'm a psychic medium as well. I've seen cases like that. I laughed too when I saw it. I was like, okay, overnight, that's really nice.
Yeah, people do. And I mean, I do believe everybody has some kind of psychic ability, and some people more than others. Some people, you know, and you can develop it. But again, it's a serious thing to claim, and it's a serious thing to do, and it's a huge responsibility. If you do have this gift and you are going to do it publicly, it's a huge responsibility.
Right. Of course it is. Absolutely. Enhancing it and developing it are two different things, and that's what some people don't understand. Developing it is, as Patty said, she's absolutely correct. Everybody's born with the gift. Everybody's born, and now there's a reason why they said that there's kids up to the age of 10 that could still see and hear spirits, and then afterwards the gift goes away. No, the gift doesn't go away. They block it. They block themselves because they either don't practice it or they don't want to have anything to do with it or anything like that.
Right, or so they were told it was wrong by somebody, or it was against their belief system, or that it was their imaginary friend. No, you're making that up. No.
Yeah, there's no imaginary friend. It's only when you don't see them, but the kids do. And you know, and that's when I said, if you guys want to enhance it as you're going along, and then if you want to develop it, developing is, you know, later on in life when you decide, okay, well, I want to open my doors back up and I believe in it and I want to do that, then you start developing it and then you enhance it afterwards.
Right.
So, what kind of seances do you do? Because some people ask me, like, what are seances and what are they used for?
Okay, seances are literally, they are, you know, where it's mediumship. But what I do in seances, it's basically contacting the dead. My seances are very Victorian style, spiritualist. Seances got really big in the turn of the last century, in the late 1800s, early 1900s, a whole movement when everybody was contacting the dead.
Right.
Presidents to everybody. It was a whole spiritualist movement. It became a belief system and a religion. I mean, there's still, like, Willydale in New York. There's whole cities of it. And I follow a lot of that style because what that is, you're around a table, which is great. You could have table knocking or doing whatever. You're in the dark or in candlelight, which is great because you can see spirits there. I do regular medium work every day. I might be sitting at my dining room table in bright of day and bright lights, and I'll be able to contact, you know, grandma or whoever, but
right.
The seance, you're literally, I work elementally, there's lots of ways you can. I work with the air and fire and water and earth as my guardians and protectors and lift the veil. So the people at my seance table can actually experience more than they would normally. It's like taking the veil off, that they can see a little bit, they can feel, they can sense. And I work an open seance, and I will tell people right away, it's like everyone can have the gift right here. The veil, the door is open open. I mean, it's very protected, and I'm completely only allowing in good spirits. That's what people get wrong with if they don't know what a seance is, or like how Ouija boards get a bad name and everything. It's like, you're not going to just let anybody in your front door come on in. You're really picky. Same with a seance or mediumship or working with any other kind of divination. So with the way I do a seance is a Victorian style, around a table, when I can have a table unless there's too many. I work personally because I do work elementally. I burn certain herbs and oils, and I use chimes and scents that help open the veil that way.
Right.
But people really do, and I'll say, if you keep hearing the word, whatever, Fred, 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 don't be afraid to say, I keep hearing Fred, Fred, Fred. You know, the person across from you that you may not know may have just lost someone named Fred, and you're the one getting the message. And that can happen the way I personally do seances. But again, that's just my preferred style because it's beautiful and romantic and people can experience things, but there are others as well.
Absolutely. Now, you know, people need to understand that a seance is not just one thing that you do. There's different kind of methods and different things that you could do, and it's considered a seance. Another question that I had from somebody that had emailed me, and it's funny because this was the same day that I had posted that you're going to be on my show. I started getting all these emails, and they're like, oh, you know what I mean, all kinds of questions, and a lot of them had to do because, you know, one main thing that Twitter is famous for is ghost adventures. You know, going back to that, so they're like, oh my God, Patty from Ghost Adventures is on, so let's go ahead and email her all these questions, which is awesome, and I love that. But they did ask me about the seance. I guess there's one episode when they said, well, what's the difference? Was she actually getting possessed? Do you normally get possessed during a seance, or do the spirit speak through you? Like, how does that work? Because they're confused about it, and I wanted you to tell them.
That's channeling or possession. And if you came to a seance at my house, or we're doing whatever, it is not going to be like on Ghost Adventures, because we're not in a serial killer's house.
Right.
At Ghost Adventures, we're going to the Black Dahlia house where this guy really was a torturing serial killer, or to, I think the last one, I think the two that I would allow possession was at the Chatsworth house, where that house of evil skimping something. Right. And I consciously go, okay, I am willing to let that entity take over my body. I set up all my wards. I know exactly what I'm doing, and I know how to get out of it. And I've studied this a half a century, so I know what I'm doing. Right. I would never suggest anybody else, unless you knew what you were doing, do that.
Exactly.
That does happen. On Ghost Adventures, one of my non-Ghost Adventure stories, I was at a house actually near me here in the Hollywood Hills, and it was a very haunted house. It was owned by an old movie star, and then Rolling Stones lived there, Mamas and Papas, Graham Parsons, the person who invented the blow-up real-life sex doll, and most recently, Marilyn Manson. And the house was too scary for him, and he moved away. He recorded there. So, and we were filming. It wasn't Ghost Adventures. It was a documentary movie, though. But literally, French doors were flying open over and over again. Speakers were coming on like white noise. They weren't even plugged in. And then
that sounds kind of exciting.
yeah. But I say, believe, don't believe. Try to be open, because otherwise you can close it down. Be a little bit of a skeptic, but you have to be respectful. You have to be respectful because it's real. This one kid started getting a little smart alecky, and like, ooh, that's when stuff was happening, and we were getting some very sensitive information of what had happened at this house. And then all of a sudden he says something really stupid, and we had 4 cameras there. One of my cameramen pointing right at him literally burst into flames.
What?
Yeah, like
my God.
His back burst into flames, like in a V, like angel wings of fire up his back. I shut it down really fast, and all of a sudden, cool, psychic medium, which Patty becomes medic Patty, of which I am as well. Like, drop it all, I'm pulling in my guardians and my grid lines and shutting it down. Like, we are done. But the guy who actually got caught on fire was like, he was kind of inspired by this. And the shirt burnt off him like it was synthetic, and it was a cotton. It should not have burnt that fast.
Right.
There was some blistering there. He's like, no, Joy, you got to go on. The kid who was smart alecky got really well behaved, really well behaved, and I reopened it. We did it. I actually talked seriously to the spirit and said, you can't do this. It was just it wasn't a demon. Mostly it's not ever, but it's just a real cranky, angry kind of theatrical spirit who had enough of this kid. So we actually ended up finishing the seance, getting really good information. The really kind of cool, magical thing that happened afterwards, even though somebody tried to throw him off the cliff, his car. Afterwards, about 3 weeks later, the cameraman showed me the small of his back, and it literally looked like he had gotten a tattoo, like kind of a of a dragon.
Oh my gosh.
The mouth open, the teeth, the little winged at the top of the head into the shape of a serpent.
Wow.
I worked dragon energy. That was great.
That's awesome.
And then boom. So it's like, wow. And he was so inspired by that. He actually wrote a film with Stephen Norrington, the guy from League of Extraordinary Gentlemen and the Blade series. They wrote a film about kind of a psychic, a TV thing, and then it turns into a horror film with, all these veils and stuff. But it was like wild. That's why I feel so lucky, because I do live in this world. We get to experience things that most people never get to experience.
Right.
And you have to take it seriously. You have to know what you're doing. I will never have anyone burst into flames again. But that actually turned out to be a really good thing, and he was so inspired. But yeah, I've had some wild things. But going back to the ghost adventures, so yes, I do allow spirit like that to take over my body. I'm sitting there with protection, with every kind of... The interesting thing is on ghost adventures, I can't burn some of my herbs and oils that I would do at any other one, because of Zach's asthma, you just can't burn stuff like that. It doesn't matter, because I use the oils and do everything else, but I can't burn like I do.
Right.
But it doesn't matter, because they're so connected. They are so 100% committed, and they truly are. That it always opens up. It always opens, because they're believers. And I mean, I know for the years before I was on that show, I remember watching it going, I don't know, this is kind of weird. These big macho guys, and then a pin drops, but